Hi, this is Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I've got this Happiness Abounds card in neutrals and gilded leafing. Let's get started. For this card, we're going to use the Happiness Abounds bundle that's in the new 2022-2023 Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And that's the photopolymer stamp set, Happiness Abounds, and the Blossoming Happiness dies. Let me set those aside. And we're going to start by bringing in a couple of pieces of very vanilla cardstock. And these are going to go on the outside and inside of our card base. And I'm just adding a score line on the side of the piece for the outside and a score line to the bottom of the piece for the inside. And those are going to be guides for the next step. So I've got a piece of scrap paper here, and let me do a little bit of rubbing with my embossing buddy and set that aside. And then I've got my Versamark pad, and I just want to come right down that score line. Let's make sure that I've inked it. So I'm going to go back across it because it's hard to tell in the light whether, and I didn't. Now that it's down further, I can see that I have not gotten ink on it. So you'll find it easier when you're not peering through a camera to see whether you've gotten your ink on here. Of course, I'm trying to do this where you can see. Okay, I think that will mostly, there we go. Now I'm finally up to the score line. I'm trying not to go over. And so we'll do that again along this score line that's along the bottom of this piece. And that looks good. Okay, let's open up our scrap paper here. And I've got heat and stick powder. And we're just going to sprinkle that all over. And then I'm going to take my finger right down the line. Again, because I have this line, I can see exactly where I want my heat and stick to be. And same thing here, we're just going to knock off the excess that's beyond our scored line. Okay. And then put this back in our tub here. And close this up and bring in my heat tool. And I'm going to heat this up completely first before starting, because the heat and stick changes quickly. I'm hoping you'll be able to see this, and as soon as it begins to melt, you need to move along with your heat tool. It's not the same as heating embossing powder, where you want to make sure it's good and melted, completely set, whatever words you want to use for that. This is just melted when you use heat and stick. If you heat it further than that, then it ceases to be sticky, which defeats the purpose of what we're doing. Okay, and then we're going to open this back up and lay down our two pieces of cardstock here. And then I've got my tub of gilded leafing, one of my favorite embellishment things in the catalog. Just going to set this aside, and I've got a sponge dauber here, and I'm going to use that to push that gilded leafing down into the heat and stick. And once I'm sure we've got enough on, then give it a little bit of a rub. Now I don't want to shake these around because that'll make the gilded leafing, that pieces that are on my sheet here, go flying everywhere, and we don't need to create a mess. So now let's do this piece, and I'm just going to scoop up some of that from the previous one. And again, just moving this around and mushing it into that heat and stick, and then give it a burnish all the way across. Okay, let's clean that off. Whoops. And now I'm going to take these and die cut in just a minute. But first we're going to do our other pieces that are going to need a little die cutting. So let me stop the camera just a moment and pop this back into my tub of gilded leafing, and we'll move on to that step. Next, I've just got a piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to rub this all over with that embossing buddy again. And then I've got the double leaf, but instead of using the line art side, I'm using the back of the stamp and inking with Versamark. And we're going to do that a few times. Give ourselves some sets of leaves. I think I didn't get this top bit. And then I think I'm going to want 2 more, but I want 2 more with the line art side now. Oops. And it's not sticking because of the Versamark on the back, so I'm just going to be a little messy here and use my fingers to push this down. If I weren't on camera, I would clean my stamp first, but I am, so I won't. Okay, and then let's take our scrap piece here and bring in that heat and stick. And we're just going to sprinkle all over with the heat and stick. Okay, and dump back into our tub here. Close that up and pop it out of the way, and then get our heat tool warmed up. And again, we're just going to come behind here, and as soon as it melts, we're going to begin moving the heat tool. Okay. And then let's open up our scrap sheet again and sprinkle on. Just wanted to check and make sure whether that was melted on that corner. And then we're just going to take this and rub in. And I like the look of this. It's a little different than if you had just used straight heat embossing. And if I had been a little more careful with my Versamark, I'd have more complete coverage here, but I like the kind of shabby texture of doing it that way. So I'm going to put this back in my jar here and then take these pieces off and die cut everything, and I'll be right back. Before die cutting, let's go ahead and do our stamping of the last element that will need to be die cut, and that's our flowers, and I'm stamping those in crumb cake. And as you know, I tend to like to stamp a couple more than what I'm actually going to use. That way, if I have a sudden change of mind as my composition comes together, I've got an extra piece or two, or if I haven't stamped as neatly. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp 5 flowers here, if I can make them fit. Okay. And now, let me go ahead and die cut, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've die cut our flowers and leaves, and then also used some of those Blossoming Happiness, the strip die to do our 2-layer pieces. And then I've used the largest Blossoming Happiness die to create this pierced layer here from the crumb cake. And if you'd like to know how I've done that, I've got a one simple trick video for you. So let's start and put the card together. And it's a crumb cake base. And we're going to use the first of our pieces here. Oh, as I turn this over, I noticed that I've got one little piece left in there. And though that wouldn't have hurt anything, I do want all of those pierced holes with that kind of spiral bound notebook edge. And let's just straighten that up and center-ish this. Okay. And that gives us a little something happening on the inside of our card. And then let's layer these 2 pieces together. And I'm just going to use multi-purpose glue on the back of this die cut piece. And I'm just putting some in the solid places along here. There are enough of those to hold this layer down. Not too much glue. You don't want it to squeeze out. And the multi-purpose glue does a great job of holding. So you don't need to worry that you won't have enough if you just put little bits in each of those spaces. And give this a rub all over, just touching all of those solid areas. And then let's turn this over and grab my dimensionals. And we'll put some of those on the back. When I ordered the stamp set and the dies, I was really excited about this spiral notebook edge die. Lots of possibilities for that. But then after using this pierced layer, I'm pretty darn excited about the possibilities with that too. Okay. And then let's arrange these pieces on. I think I'm only going to use 3 of the flowers. And I do want dimensionals behind my flowers. So let's go ahead and put a couple on each one of those. Whoops. Stuck my leaves to my flowers. Don't need to do that. And I'm just dropping these on here. And then I'm going to take a pair of these, and let's see, I need to think about how I'm going to arrange these, and add a little bit of multi-purpose glue behind each of these. I'm going to place these down here. Let me move my hand out of the way. And then let's go ahead and put my flower in place over top. Okay, and this one's going to sit further up. And then for this one, I'm just going to use a single, this is my single in the gold. And I want this kind of off the edge a little bit. Let's turn that leaf just a smidge. Okay. And then before I do this last one, let me grab my die. Didn't want to forget to mention that when you cut out these leaves, you're going to cut from behind. So when you add the die, you're going to need to hold that up to the light so that you can see what's happening behind it, and then place it and go ahead and cut, since that is a reverse of the stamp. Okay, and now we can finish up with these. Let's go ahead and add a little multi-purpose glue. And as always, I'm not completely gluing everything stuck down tight, because I do like the ends of my leaves to be a little loose. And then let's just decide how I want to do this pair. Oops, this one needs to come up just a little bit. Okay, and there's our Happiness Abounds card in neutrals with a little bit of gilded leafing. Thanks for stopping by today. These products will be available beginning May 3rd. You can find a link to my Stampin' Up! Store in the description below the video. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your card-making friends, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell, and you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Have a great day. Bye.